putting the oil in is going to be serious. If we're going anything from Mark's Bugatti, who thinks his gearbox didn't work because it had swarf in the oil, we want to make sure this oil is spotless. So we kept it in a jug over there because we don't know what oil goes in it.
What happens when one man takes on the ultra-exclusive world of Bugatti with nothing but a toolbox and a trash can? Most would say a multi-million-dollar powerhouse like the Chiron Pur Sport is untouchable outside factory walls. But Matt Armstrong challenged that status quo in a way no one expected. This isn't just about fixing a wrecked hypercar. It's about uncovering a hidden truth beneath the carbon fiber, that even the rarest machines can be dismantled, understood, and rebuilt by those willing to defy convention. Can a YouTuber with grit rewrite the rules of automotive prestige? The blacklist and the salvage crisis. When a Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport crashes, the situation becomes far more than a simple insurance claim. Unlike ordinary cars, which you can typically send to a local body shop after a fender bender, Bugatti operates under a different set of rules. In one infamous Miami incident, a rare Chiron worth millions collided with a modest delivery truck, leaving behind a carbon fiber carcass that Bugatti refused to allow back on the road. To the factory and its elite circles, a compromised Bugatti is no longer a Bugatti. It is a liability that must be erased. Following the accident, Bugatti's response was swift and absolute: total loss. But the verdict came with an unprecedented twist. The factory blacklisted the car's vehicle identification number, or VIN, locking it in a global system that barred authorized dealers worldwide from selling even the smallest part for this specific chassis. This meant the car could not be repaired legally, effectively erased from existence despite still physically surviving. For the owner, it was as if the vehicle had become a ghost, valuable yet wholly unusable. Bugatti's policy wasn't just about a repair ban. It was a fortress designed to protect the brand's image and exclusivity by controlling how, or even if, damaged cars could return to the road. The factory mandated that any restoration had to be completed in Molsheim, France, under strict factory supervision. And the price tag was staggering. Parts alone were billed at nearly $1,700,000, a figure so shocking it seemed to serve less as a cost estimate and more as a gatekeeping tool. To put this figure in perspective, a single pair of headlights was quoted at $174,000, and each front fender came with a $200,000 price. The iconic horseshoe grille alone was priced at $93,000. At those numbers, you could buy multiple brand-new Porsches for less than the cost of the Chiron's front bumper. This wasn't merely about repair expenses. It was about creating an invincible barrier to keep unauthorized repairers and owners from regaining control over the vehicle. Such a fortress effectively crushes the salvage market for these hypercars. Once blacklisted, a Bugatti is relegated to an eternal total loss status, removing its resale value and any hope of resurrection except through the factory's exorbitantly priced restoration. Collectors and enthusiasts saw the message clearly. Crash a Chiron Pur Sport, and you're out of luck unless you're willing to pay a crippling ransom. This tight grip on ownership raised uncomfortable questions around the right to repair. At the core, this was not just an engineering or physics problem. It was philosophical. Did owners truly own their cars if the factory could refuse access to parts, information, or repairs? Was the Bugatti simply a leased luxury, where the ultimate authority rested with the manufacturer rather than the individual custodian? The enforcement of the blacklist suggested a world where exclusivity meant control, not freedom. But the drama was just beginning. What many saw as an unassailable rulebook was about to be challenged by an unlikely figure armed with nothing but knowledge, grit, and a toolbox. The blacklisting and astronomical repair demand set the stage for a confrontation that would reveal far more about the hypercar industry than anyone expected. Now, imagine facing a repair bill that rivals the cost of a private island, and knowing your own car can't be fixed without bowing to the factory's terms. This dramatic backdrop led to a seismic shift when a mechanic decided to question the impossible. As Matt Armstrong arrived to survey the wreckage, the narrative of corporate untouchability began to unravel. Matt Armstrong's unconventional approach. Most people confronted with a $1,700,000 repair quote would simply walk away, accepting defeat. But Matt Armstrong saw a challenge and an opportunity to expose what lay beneath Bugatti's fortress of exclusivity. When he first inspected the wrecked Chiron Pur Sport in Miami, he found a car that was certainly battered, but far from dead. The carbon fiber tub, often assumed shattered beyond repair, showed only minor cracks. The legendary W16 engine still beat stubbornly beneath the damage. Matt quickly realized that Bugatti's claim of unrepairable was not founded purely on technical limitations but on business decisions. The factory's refusal to allow local repairs, combined with factory-only parts and sky-high prices, painted a picture of deliberate gatekeeping. This was about protecting profit margins and brand control more than preserving engineering integrity. With the backing of the car's owner, Matt took a public stance that electrified the automotive world. The owner issued an ultimatum on social media. Bugatti had 24 hours to lift the blacklist, or they would 3D print every single part needed to restore the car. This threat wasn't empty bluster. It struck at the heart of Bugatti's business model. If a modest workshop could replicate parts that Bugatti claimed were irreplaceably bespoke, the inflated factory prices were exposed as a fiction. What followed was unprecedented. Typically, challenging a billion-dollar manufacturer that's part of the Volkswagen Group triggers immediate legal backlash, cease and desist letters, walls of silence, and courtroom battles. Instead, millions tuned in to Matt's channel as he dismantled the hypercar piece by piece. Viewers witnessing the inner workings for the first time saw that beneath the prestige, a Bugatti is still bolts, wires, and mechanical systems. No magic fairy dust. Matt's greatest asset wasn't just tools, it was experience. His father, a veteran mechanic, became his secret weapon in doing what the factory said couldn't be done. Together, they represented the antithesis of the sterile, white-glove environment of Molsheim. This was genuine grit and grease-fighting corporate dogma. Through their progress, the myth of the unfixable hypercar began to crumble, turning a seven-figure factory quote into what looked more like a ransom note. As Matt sourced parts, he uncovered unexpected links to the Volkswagen parts bin, finding shared components with Audis and Bentleys. This discovery fueled the argument that many so-called bespoke Bugatti parts were simply premium-priced derivatives. The pressure on the factory was mounting, forcing a reluctant acknowledgement that the narrative couldn't be ignored. But the ultimate proof of concept lay ahead, when Matt boldly declared he would split the Chiron Pur Sport in half. This act would challenge every notion Bugatti held sacred about its engineering secrets. It was time to see if a grassroots mechanic in a modest shop could do what the ultra-exclusive factory claimed was impossible. The trash can breakthrough. Bugatti had insisted that only 2 facilities in the world possessed the specialized equipment and expertise to separate the Chiron's front monocoque from the rear subframe. Attempting this feat anywhere else, especially in a modest garage, was deemed a guaranteed $4 million disaster. Such strict control was part of the aura that Bugatti so carefully cultivated. Their cars were celestial objects beyond mortal hands. But Matt Armstrong wasn't deterred by this legend. Instead of the million-dollar laser-guided hydraulic lifts Bugatti employs, he grabbed a simple plastic workshop trash can from the corner of his shop. With a pair of humble 2-post lifts, scrap timber, and the trash can as a makeshift rolling base, he set out to prove a radical point. The internet watched with bated breath as he and his father carefully unbolted the car's components, supporting the massive W16 engine and dual-clutch transmission as they rolled the carbon fiber front tub away. The tension was palpable. One slip could mean catastrophic damage to the expensive carbon fiber body or the engine itself. But instead of disaster, what happened next was mechanical poetry. The Chiron Pur Sport came apart with the grace and precision of a high-end Lego set. 14 titanium bolts held the front and rear sections together. There were no secret spells, no impossibly complex fasteners, just high-grade hardware that any skilled mechanic could appreciate. This was the moment the myth was shattered. The hypercar's unrepairable reputation was exposed as a crafted narrative to guard profits and prestige. The chassis wasn't an alien construct, but an ingeniously engineered modular system. The car beneath the carbon fiber skin was, fundamentally, a machine. As the two halves sat apart, the true damage was revealed. A freak accident had pushed the 8-liter engine forward slightly, crushing coolant lines and fracturing a cast aluminum engine mount support. To Bugatti, this flawless structural components crack meant replacement only, never repair. Yet this refusal to sell the part separately had created the million-dollar repair bill. Matt's trash can method wasn't just a clever stunt. It was a manifesto. The unthinkable was manageable if you had the courage and creativity to try. By dismantling Bugatti's flagship in a garage, he pulled back the curtain on a brand determined to keep its secrets locked and established a new era where the enthusiast could compete with the factory's monopoly on knowledge and parts. This breakthrough wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of a much larger reckoning. The challenge to convention had been laid bare, and all eyes were now on what would come next. Parts, sharing, and industry realities. One of Matt Armstrong's most surprising discoveries during the rebuild was how much of the Bugatti's engineering relied on shared Volkswagen Group components. Hidden throughout the chassis and drivetrain were sensors, clips, and parts stamped with Volkswagen, Audi, and Bentley numbers. This challenged one of the hypercar world's biggest myths, that every component is entirely bespoke and inaccessible outside the factory. The discovery revealed that many parts were not exotic one-off creations, but premium versions of components used across luxury vehicles within the group. Electronics, fasteners, and other systems carried familiar Audi codes, showing that even a multi-million-dollar hypercar depends on shared engineering platforms. Owners often pay enormous markups simply for Bugatti branding and exclusivity. This does not diminish the Chiron's achievements. Its W16 engine and engineering remain extraordinary. However, it exposes the commercial model behind Bugatti's pricing and repair ecosystem. By tightly controlling parts access and service procedures, the company extended exclusivity beyond ownership into maintenance itself. Matt's findings sparked a quiet shift in perspective. They showed that, with enough knowledge and sourcing expertise, many components could be serviced without paying the Bugatti tax. For enthusiasts and independent workshops, this opened the possibility of major savings on maintenance and repairs, weakening the perception that factory support was the only option. His work went further when investigating replacement parts. Rather than relying solely on Bugatti, Matt consulted aerospace engineers and specialists to explore modern manufacturing methods such as 3D scanning and CNC machining. A key example was the damaged cast aluminum engine mount, an item Bugatti would not sell separately, instead pushing toward an enormously expensive engine and gearbox replacement. Matt demonstrated that independent workshops could potentially reproduce and even improve critical components using modern techniques. This directly challenged the idea that hypercars could only be repaired within factory networks. The implications extended beyond one Chiron. For years, manufacturers maintained a mystique that kept owners dependent on factory systems. Matt's rebuild showed that this control often relied less on impossible engineering and more on business strategy. The project became more than a restoration. It was a dismantling of hypercar myths and a case study in ownership, access, and mechanical freedom. It also amplified the broader right-to-repair conversation, proving that expertise and modern manufacturing tools could challenge long-standing industry barriers. What once seemed untouchable became understandable, opening the door for enthusiasts and independent workshops to participate in preserving automotive icons. As the hypercar world watched, one man's relentless pursuit began to unsettle the established order and caught the attention of a very unexpected ally. The CEO's unexpected response. Normally, when an independent mechanic challenges a multi-billion-dollar manufacturer like Bugatti, the legal machinery revs into action. Threat letters, courtroom threats, and official silence typically follow. But this time, Matt Armstrong, CEO of Bugatti, under the Rimac Automobili and Volkswagen umbrella, chose a radically different path, one that stunned the automotive community. When the car's owner publicly challenged Bugatti to unblacklist the Chiron or face a 3D printing revolt, Rimac didn't reply with lawyers. Instead, he reached out personally via Instagram direct message. "Hey man, you got a CEO here," he wrote, breaking down the wall between the trillion-dollar manufacturer and individual enthusiast. His tone was direct but collaborative, signaling a willingness to engage rather than intimidate. Rimac explained, with engineers' precision, why home-printed structural components were not merely an act of defiance, but a threat to safety at 1,500 horsepower. He underscored that vital parts like the gearbox housing and carbon monocoque endure stresses beyond the capabilities of typical 3D printing filaments, emphasizing the real-world risks behind the controversy. Then came the part that truly shifted the industry's perception. Rimac admitted that the $1,700,000 quote circulating online was a worst-case insurance estimate, not a set-in-stone price. He conveyed that Bugatti wanted to help find a path forward, a fair, factory-supported rebuild that wouldn't demand the previous seven-figure sum. Shortly thereafter, Bugatti officially unblacklisted the car. This was an unprecedented reversal of decades of policy. It sent a powerful message. Total loss need not be a permanent death sentence if a safe and viable repair can be assured. The decision offered hope not just to this one car, but also to a future where chance and resilience could restore more than just crushed carbon fiber. Rimac also posted a public video praising Matt Armstrong's work. Rather than mocking the trash can method of splitting the chassis, he used it to explain the car's complexity and even corrected viral misinformation, like the headline, "Cost of the Headlights," which he said was closer to $58,000, not $174,000. The response was a masterclass in transparency and modern public relations. By inviting Matt and the owner into discussions over cost-efficient repair options, Rimac transformed an adversarial conflict into collaboration. If the builder refused the offer, they risked being seen as chasing clicks instead of quality. If they accepted, Bugatti could ensure the car's safety and legacy, watching over what had become the most famous salvage car in the world. Rimac's approach signaled a profound shift in automaker-owner relations. In an age where transparency and authenticity matter more than polished brochures, the old model of factory dictating every step is fading. By meeting the independent mechanic halfway, Rimac wasn't just saving a car, he was saving the brand's relevance to a tech-savvy new generation hungry for openness. With the factory doors now cracked open, the ripple effects would soon extend far beyond a single garage, challenging assumptions about luxury, ownership, and the future of mechanical craftsmanship. The future of hypercar repair and design. The saga of Matt Armstrong's rebuild did more than prove a hypercar could be repaired outside the factory. It triggered a broader shift for Bugatti and the automotive world. While Matt was dismantling the past in his garage, Matt Rimac was unveiling the future with the Bugatti Tourbillon, a model built around mechanical transparency and visible engineering. It represents a clear departure from the Chiron's closed black box philosophy toward a more open and human-centered design approach. The Tourbillon's naturally aspirated 8.3-liter V16 celebrates mechanical purity. By eliminating turbocharging complexity, Bugatti created a driving experience that is raw, visceral, and more approachable. It embraces a Swiss watch on wheels philosophy that aligns with what Matt Armstrong's rebuilds revealed. People want to understand how their cars work, not just how fast they go. Analog details, including watchmaker-inspired gauges and tactile mechanical feedback, reinforce a future built around longevity and engagement. This shift reflects the Armstrong effect, valuing authenticity over image and craftsmanship over polish. By welcoming the hands-on enthusiast mindset, Bugatti acknowledges that garage culture still matters, even at the highest level of automotive design. Luxury is no longer just about exclusivity. It is increasingly about transparency and substance. At the same time, Bugatti is embracing technologies once seen as opposed to tradition. The company is exploring 3D-printed titanium suspension components and AI-optimized structural parts, innovations similar to the experimental solutions Matt discussed in his own workshop. Factory-level tools and enthusiast ingenuity are beginning to converge, narrowing the gap between manufacturer and independent builder. Rimac's engagement with Armstrong has also softened Bugatti's image. Once viewed as inaccessible and overly protective, the brand is evolving into one that celebrates engineering passion. The tourbillon is designed not only to impress, but to endure. Built with the ambition of lasting generations rather than a single ownership cycle. The parallels between the tourbillon and Matt's modular Chiron teardown reveal a new narrative. Complexity is no longer a barrier, but a canvas for creativity. Bugatti now embraces a future where precision and enthusiast culture coexist. This evolution carries risk. Building a high-revving V16 in an era focused on efficiency is a bold move driven by passion. Yet Matt Armstrong's story proved that audiences are captivated not only by speed, but by the process of building, breaking, and rebuilding machines. Bugatti is now channeling that same energy, bridging heritage with hands-on innovation, while redefining luxury as something participatory, mechanical, and deeply connected to the enthusiast community. Matt Armstrong didn't just fix a Bugatti. He challenged an industry and helped redefine what ownership means. This story proves that no machine is too complex and no engineer too small to make a difference. If you enjoyed this inside look at the hypercar revolution, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of automotive innovation.